From the Office of Institutional Advancement and Alumni Relations, this is Xavier Gold Live, the podcast highlighting stories of leadership, impact, and the Xavier spirit.
Welcome to Xavier Gold Live, your front row seat to the stories of Xavier alumni transforming passion into purpose. I'm Jamya, Stewart, a psychology major exploring the world of mass communication as my minor, hailing from the great city of Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Amaya, Sanford, a proud mass communication major from the Atlanta, Georgia. Together, we're committed to uncovering the stories, legacies, and lived experiences that continue to shape Xavier University.
What's up, Xavier family, and welcome back to Xavier Gold Live. This is our special 2026 Commencement Series, where we are highlighting graduating seniors and recent alumni stepping into their new chapter. Today, we are joined by someone special who has made a strong impact during his time at Xavier, serving as the Pre-Alumni Council president and a proud member of Phi Alpha Fraternity, Incorporated.
We're going to be talking about his journey here at Xavier, leadership and growth, and what's next after graduation, and how he plans to stay engaged as an alum. So let's get right into it. So to start off, Reggie, introduce yourself and your name for people who don't know, and then your major and your time here at Xavier.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Reginald King. I just recently graduated May 9th, to be exact, with a degree in accounting. I'm class of 2026. And yes, I'm so lucky for you guys to have me on this show. Thank you so much.
So when you first think back on your Xavier experience those last 4 years, what stands out to you the most right away?
I believe the people, and they may sound cliche, but the people that I met over these 4 years have been like the most outstanding thing for me. I built a lot of great relationships, and some people are going to turn out to do very great things in life. And I'm just lucky to have them in my life at this point in time. So when we make it that big, I can call on them, ask for a couple of things. They can call on me. And yeah, just building those relationships have been really good over the last 4 years.
Now, you've had a lot of leadership roles here at Xavier. In our class, personally, you were one of our first faces that we did see on campus. So what made you decide to get involved in leadership roles like Pre-Alumni Council and organizations like Phi Alpha?
I don't want to sound redundant, but again, the people who were in those organizations before me kind of had a huge influence on me. People like Jamya, who kind of seen the work that I was doing as a photographer. My freshman year was somebody who asked me to come be the historian for the Pre-Alumni Council. And some of the alphas, even before I knew that they were alphas on campus, just showed a certain type of work ethic that I wanted to emulate within my own time here at Xavier. And so just seeing that and trying to replicate it to the best of my abilities, I just ended up kind of following in the footsteps and, creating my own path here at Xavier.
So now that we're on Xavier Gold Live, we're talking to alumni now. You've reached alumni status. So as the Pre-Alumni Council president, what experiences did you gain and what did it teach you about leadership, responsibility, and representing Xavier as a whole?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I believe, for one, the connections that I built with alumni have will last a lifetime after I've left Xavier. As a matter of fact, this sweater that I have on right here came from Miss Teal. Thank you so much. I appreciate that as a gift. But yeah, just being able to build those connections with them and then learning myself as a leader, being able to deal with people's and different personalities. And again, you may not always get along with the people you work with, but being able to learn that at an early age here at Xavier and kind of grow through that leadership phase. When I go into corporate workspaces and run into conflict and resolution, things like that, Xavier has prepared me for all of those situations as early on as they could. So.
And I can't wait for us to be able to feel that one day as well. And I know you kind of touched on your leadership roles and the responsibility that you did take on as a student. But is there a specific moment that you can recollect or share that you felt like Xavier really challenged you, but it also kind of shaped who you are today?
And this may sound embarrassing when I say it, but my sophomore year, and this is academic, this isn't even like leadership. I feel like leadership kind of came easy. Nobody ever actually wants to talk about how rigorous Xavier is. And so my sophomore year, I had took tax accounting actually. And, my laziness caught up to me, slacking off in class, not doing the work like I was supposed to. And I didn't pass the class. So I had to retake it my senior year. probably not the oldest person in the class, but I'm in the back of the class knowing all of the stuff that I've learned already. But that kind of just showed me to just do things right the first time. That is how I kind of, adopted that mindset. But doing things right the first time, I won't have to redo it. I won't have to, make any corrections. If I do it right the first time, everything will be taken care of. So yeah, tax accounting, shout out Miss Fujetta. But yeah, she taught me that lesson the hard way. But I thank her for it. So
That's great. I'm glad that we got on the topic of you being really involved because, involvement is a big thing at Xavier, but we want to talk a little bit more about the involvement that you're going to have now
mhm.
that you have your degree. So, how do you feel that Xavier has prepared you pretty much for the real world, as they say, academically, professionally, personally? Give me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Xavier has done a great job in making sure that I had all of the tools necessary to succeed. I actually just got off of work from my internship with KPMG, which even though Miss Fujetta did fail me in that class, she was the person who hooked me up with KPMG my freshman year and
I
made
see.
sure that I was equipped with any resources that I needed from the company. And so, just being able to have different things like career fairs and resume building and a lot of those things that I learned my freshman year I kind of took with me in my roles as pre-alumni council president so that I can share it with other students so that they can also be equipped when they go out into the real world. And so just going to work now, it feels easier than Xavier did. So I think I'm more than prepared to go into the workspace now. So
And that's what it's supposed to be. That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
for
And I know
sure.
it hasn't been that long since you have graduated,
Yeah.
but what would you say the transition from being a student leader is like after graduating? How do you feel like going from a student leader to graduating and now going into the real world, stepping into your job force? How do you see that transition so far?
Yeah, the transition, I wouldn't say it's been tough, but it's been an adjustment for sure. I kind of just told my mom today when she had picked me up from work. I told her I was like, I finished everything I had to do at work, and I'm so used to while I'm doing my internship, still preparing for the next school year, whether that be, preparing PAC events or creating alpha events and service things like that. This year, I don't really have anything to prepare. So after I finish my work at work, it's just like, all right, what do I do now? And I think that is a good problem to have, just being able to be so efficient in the things that I do that I get them done quickly. But now it's just pushing me forward to be able to find new hobbies, find new things to do, find new ways to not only impact the place that I work, but also my community around me as well. So
I think that's a real thing, that adjustment part that you talked about, like finishing everything, and then you still have stuff to do during the day.
yeah,
So yeah, that's a big thing. So what are your next steps after Xavier? Like Amaya said, like it hasn't been that long,
It
but
hasn't
before
been
yeah,
you
that
know it, you'll be
long.
at your first homecoming tailgate as an alumni. So what's next for you,
absolutely.
and what led you to that decision ultimately?
So my next step for sure, I'm going to Columbia University in New York during the fall for my master's in strategic communication. And what led me to that, they actually came and visited Xavier, and they were doing the HBCU fellowship. Now, I wasn't as lucky to get the HBCU fellowship, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to go to an Ivy League university. And
Yes.
so just being
Yes.
able to take that opportunity and use it to the best of my abilities, not only put on for myself, but for Xavier, who kind of molded me to be able to even have this opportunity in the first place, that's really what my next goal is. I have been going down that rabbit hole of figuring out, okay, what do I want to do by the age of 23 and what do I want to do before I turn 25? But for sure, getting my master's, probably go back and get my MBA, work for a couple of years, get some experience. But the more degrees, the better. More degrees, the more money you make, more certifications. So just trying to figure out what really works for me, and then once I find it, I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna see that I got it. It will be signs. I'll just let them know that.
Now, like you said, going to Ivy League, that's a big thing. But
Hmm.
also being a Xavier alumni is as well.
Even
That
bigger,
holds
yeah,
weight as
for
well.
sure.
So, what skills or lessons that you did take from your leadership roles at Xavier do you already see yourself maybe using now at your job,
Hmm.
or maybe see yourself using moving forward?
That is a good question. I think the biggest one I would say is being able to be adaptable. Like adapting on the fly is something that I've kind of mastered. at Xavier. Again, it's going to throw a lot of different things at you, whether that be through leadership roles, through your classwork, whatever the case may be. It's always going to be something. And so going into the workplace now, whenever there are issues that arise, or I wouldn't even say issues, but whenever something happens and, kind of curveball in your schedule or anything like that, I'm able to kind of pick up on it. And not only for me, but my coworkers, the people around me who may not be as experienced as I am within the company, I'm able to give them advice and tell them how things should work on the fly, just because Xavier has prepared me to be able to do so.
What is one thing that you would say you're still figuring out in your transition period?
I think what I'm figuring out is how to bring my full self into different spaces. And so again, Xavier has, I would say, in a way, sheltered me because I'm around a bunch of people who look like me, striving to do the same thing that I'm doing and be just as successful as the last generation of Xavierites who graduated. And so now that I'm in a new space where, everybody may not look like me, everybody may not act like me, talk like me, I'm trying to find a way to still bring my full self that I've kind of curated at Xavier into this workspace, and allow people to kind of see what it is that not only myself but HBCUs have to offer within the workspace. I think that is the biggest thing that I'm trying to juggle right now. But again, great things come with time, so just working day by day to master it. So
Yes, yes. And I know we touched on, your time and what you expect to do after Xavier, but I'm going to shift to a more reflective side and kind of
okay,
identify, how your Xavier journey was as a whole and what it meant for you overall, pretty much. So, what exactly does being a Xavierite mean to you now, especially since you've reached alumni status? Like, what does being a
yeah.
Xavierite mean to you at this point?
I think the simplest way I can put it is it really means the world. I think Xavier is, in my humble opinion, the best university in the country.
Clock it.
Um, Yeah, it's the best university in the country. Even now, like my sister is about to graduate from the same high school as
Oh,
me in a
yeah.
couple of years, and so she's looking at colleges to go to and things she wants to do. But I'm always a huge advocate of going to a HBCU, figuring out where people want you to be the best version of you. And so I think that's what being a Xavierite means, is even if she doesn't choose to go to Xavier, being able to give her that knowledge of what I learned here at this HBCU, give it to her and allow her to kind of thrive and find those own, foundations and relationships on her own as well. That's what Xavier has really instilled in me. And then just taking care of my community overall. I always think like, okay, what can I do here to take care of myself? And once I'm taking care of myself, what can I do to take care of my community as well? So that's just what Xavier has really put into me. That's what it means to be a Xavier right overall.
I'm glad you talked about pouring back into your community. Being a Xavierite means being a person of service, a man of
Hmm.
service, if you will. So, what do you think? Also, it ties back into legacy as well. So, what do you
Yeah.
think your own personal legacy was at Xavier? Like for 4 years, what can you say legacy? What does it mean to
Yeah.
Reginald?
I think it was a lot of different versions of me over the 4 years that I was there. Like my freshman year, I was Reggie with the camera. My sophomore year, I became Reggie the Alpha. And I think over the last 2 years, Pre-Alumni Council is something that kind of blossomed. The people who were over it before me did a great job of just making sure that it was upkept. And when I came into my presidency, I kind of just took it and ran with it. All of the ideas that I had came up with while observing, I think that is where my legacy lies. I think over the next couple of years, everybody will still remember like PAC started off as something that was just kind of an idea and bloomed into something that was greater than anybody could ever imagine. And so I think that's really what legacy is, though, is just making sure that you leave something better than how you found it. And I think with Xavier, that is what I try my best to do, is to make sure it was left better than when I came in 2022. So
And to give you your flowers, I think PAC was definitely your baby. I think you did your thing with
Yes,
it.
you
Yeah,
absolutely,
birthed
you
yes, thank
definitely,
PAC.
you.
Shout
yeah,
out
you
PAC.
definitely did that. Yeah, shout
Shout
out
out PAC,
PAC,
man,
literally. Now, I
for
know you
sure.
said you were probably, you went through a bunch of different versions of yourself,
Hmm.
freshman through senior year. Now, if you could go back to your freshman year,
Hmm.
that's fall 2022, like,
All 2022,
what
yeah.
would
Oh,
you, what would you say to freshman year, Reggie? What would you say to freshman year you?
uh, what would I say to him? I would probably tell them slow down. I know when I came in, I kind of experienced a little bit. And then from there, I was just like, okay, I graduated high school at 17. I want to graduate college as early as I can. And so going into my sophomore year, I was taking 18 hours both semesters, um, which was like draining. Probably why I ended up failing that text class. But if I can go back and tell them like slow down and actually enjoy the ride, I could have graduated my junior year, but my junior year, I said I want to, spend my entire senior year experiencing what Xavier has to offer. And so, yeah, just slowing down from the beginning, being able to really take it all in, going to those events during orientation week instead of being stubborn to my peer deans, telling them I'm not coming and things like that. I think that'd be the biggest thing. Just slow down and take it all in.
I'm glad you were able to reflect now on past self, because now we're about to talk about future Reggie. We're about to talk about alumni status Reggie. So as someone who has served in the Pre-Alumni Council, and you know firsthand the effects that alumni have on students that are currently matriculating through Xavier, how do you plan on staying engaged as a Xavier alumni?
I think first off, still being in touch with the people who you attended school with, um, even the graduating seniors. So making sure class of 2026, I'm always tapping in with them. If I see them on LinkedIn doing something big, congratulating them, things like that. But then also the undergraduate students who are still there, making sure that as much as I don't want to answer the phone for y'all, still answering the phone. When Jamya calls or Mikey calls, Amaya calls, whoever, like making sure that I still give back. I know Jamya, the first thing you told me was time, talent, treasure. So being able to pick at least two of those to give back to the
Yes.
university. And I know for a lot of graduating seniors, you may not be financially where you want to be at to give back to the university, but it's nothing to still be able to show up to homecoming and, pour back into the freshmen who are just experiencing their first homecoming, or for events and things like that, being able to come back and speak on panels or anything of that nature, just being able to give back as much as I can. That is going to be my main goal as a now Xavier alum. So
I like everything you said. I feel like a lot of times, especially probably right after graduation, people don't necessarily start to think as an alumni, think, oh, I
hmm
can be pouring back already, even just
yeah,
by a simple conversation, not even doing too much. Like just a
for
simple
sure.
conversation, a lot of times is pouring back plenty.
hmm
Now, why do you think it's important for students to start thinking about alumni engagement before they graduate?
I think I'm kind of like clear example of like why you should try your best to, you know, think about alumni engagement, but also participate in it as well. And so being able to have the contacts that I had with Xavier alumni and bring them back to campus to kind of talk to students. There's a lot of people who have had great relationships and created, mentorship relationships with a lot of these alumni just based off coming to an event where alumni were at, or whatever the small things are when they come for homecoming. Even just holding the door for an alumni, having a small conversation with them, like you said, that conversation can go a long way. So I think once I was finally introduced during my sophomore year to alumni and noticed how big their role within the university was, that is where I started to strategically figure out how I'm gonna not only build my own um, relationship with these alumni, but also how am I going to, build those skills for myself after I graduate to be an active alumni.
Well, I'm glad you spoke on being an active alumni, because my next question is literally, what does it mean to be an engaged active alumni to you?
Like I said, engaged and active, time, talent, and treasure. If you can't give all three of them, at least two out of the three you can give. So, um, again, I may not have as much money as I want to have coming right out of college, but if I can donate $5 a month to you, spend $5 on anything. So it's like if you can donate $5 a month back to the university, that helps more than you may think it is. So not only that, but again, being able to show back up to campus and give back the way that you should. Um, Conversations with students on campus, giving advice, doing things like this when asked. Like this is my first time ever doing a alumni interview, and so just being able to answer that call when Jamaya calls and say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" That is a form of giving back, and that's why it's so important. Because again, after you graduate, Xavier is bigger than you. So it's just like you can't stop after your 4 years or 6 years or 8 years, however long you took at Xavier. it doesn't end there. You're a Xavierite forever and always. So just being able to continue that legacy going on and on afterwards.
Definitely coming and sitting down is already you giving back in itself.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that you're continuing that legacy beyond Xavier. Not that I
Hmm.
didn't think you were going to, but it's
For
definitely
sure.
greatly appreciated. Now, finally, what message would you want to leave with what message would you want to leave with current Xavier students and future graduates currently listening to this episode?
I think something that I always tell myself is if it was easy, everybody would do it. Again, the easiest things in the world, anybody could pick it up and be able to do it. It is not easy to go and get your degree, especially from Xavier. Somebody actually told me a stat that 1 in 4 Black men graduate college with a bachelor's degree. And so just hearing that statistic, me myself, I'm living proof that anything is possible. And so, just knowing that if it was easy, anybody would do it. Again, you have to be able to put in the work. When things get tough, you can't just quit, can't give up on it because you haven't been faced with adversity before. But Xavier has put us in a great position to be able to learn from the things, the mistakes that we make. And then also, again, the alumni who have graduated have probably already made those mistakes. So building those relationships with them so you don't have to follow in their footsteps and make that mistake twice. You can learn from it early before you even make it, see it, and then pivot from it from there. So that is what I will leave with students on campus, people who are graduating, going into med school, law school, whatever the case may be. Remember that somebody already did it before you. You don't have to go through and make the same mistakes as them. Just learn from them and do better, and then give it back to the next generation of Xavierites coming through.
Well, thank you so, so much, Reggie, my dear
Oh,
friend.
thank you.
Congratulations to you again on Columbia. I'm
Blessings.
so
Thank you.
excited for
Thank you.
you sharing your journey, your leadership with us the last 4 years. We appreciate it so much. And to our
Sure.
listeners, this is what Xavier Go Live is all about: legacy, leadership, and the impact that students continue to make beyond the yard.
Stay connected, stay engaged, and keep that Xavier spirit alive.
Wow, we are so thrilled to be here on the Commencement Series. Talking to Reginald was literally just amazing. Like, his journey was so inspiring to see.
I know, right? I loved hearing about the leadership roles he stepped into, and to now be heading to Columbia is beyond exciting. It's just the beginning for him, and speaking of new beginnings, we are so excited to bring on our next graduate.
Absolutely. But before we do all that and get into all that good stuff, remember to follow the Instagram at XULA Alumni, that's XULA Alumni, for all the latest updates.
Yes, exactly. We want this to be a celebration that keeps you connected. So stick around, because up next we have another incredible grad who is taking on the world.
True. But let's dive in, because you don't want to miss this next story.
What's up, Xavier family, and welcome back to Xavier Gold Live. This is our new series, the Commencement Series, where we highlight graduating seniors and recent alumni as they prepare for their next chapter beyond Xavier.
Today, we're joined by someone whose impact at Xavier has been felt across multiple organizations and leadership spaces. She's a Truman 2025 Scholar, a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and an incoming student at Columbia SPS.
Today, we're talking about leadership, service, academic excellence, and what it means to create a legacy rooted in purpose and impact. So let's jump right in.
Okay, so to start us off, if you don't mind introducing yourself, your name, your major, and where you're from.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you all so much for having me. I'm so excited. My name is Keziah-Yvonne Smith. I am a now graduated political science pre-law major from Xavier University. So I have my Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a minor in Mass Communication. I'm originally from St. Louis, but during COVID, my family moved to Connecticut, so that's where we are now. And yeah, I'm just really excited to talk about my Xavier experience. It was definitely one of those roller coaster type experiences, but wouldn't trade it for the world at all.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you're really excited. I'm glad that you're here with us. So let's jump right in. So when you look back on your time at Xavier, those long 4 years, what was the first memory or some of the first experiences that immediately stand out to you from Xavier?
Okay, great question. So I love talking about this. My first ever memory from Xavier is actually like my first failure at Xavier. So for a little bit of context, so I've always been a high achiever since high school. That was just who I was. And like I mentioned, I'm originally from St. Louis, but during the midst of COVID, my family moved to Connecticut. So I had to pretty much restart everything. I had had the same friends since elementary school, same people, same house, and then we moved in the midst of COVID. But even then, I kind of figured out how to, find my space in that. Like I was our graduation speaker in high school, even though I'd only been there 2 years. And during that speech, I talked about claim your space, and that's kind of the forefront of my entire Xavier experience is the idea of claiming your space and claiming where you are, and finding your space no matter where you are. So, with that, my freshman year, I wanted to be in the Senate really bad. So I ran for SGA Senate. I had the cutest campaign. It was called Bloom. I don't remember the acronym now, but it was like all about flowers and bloom, and we're gonna, bloom together as the class of 26. I had this whole thing. And I'd worked so hard just to lose, right? And my whole life, I had kind of just been one of those people when I worked towards something and I had a goal, typically it went in my favor. If I just put all my effort into something, I would get it. And this was one of the first experiences where I put all my effort into something and I lost. And at first, it was absolutely devastating at first because I was so sad, just because I had thought that this was my plan, but it's one of those instances where God has a different plan for you. And I genuinely think that that was one of the best things that could have happened for me specifically because I lost that election and I didn't go into that specific role. I was able to find other things that really fulfilled me and were closer aligned with my passions and my goals rather than what I thought was my passions and goals. So then I joined the election commission, and that's how, and we'll probably get into it a little bit later, but that's how I really got into all my civic engagement work that I ended up doing. So that's why I always tell a lot of, my mentees, a lot of underclassmen that because a lot of people want to do SGA and a lot of people will go out for it and get absolutely crushed whenever they lose. And although it is very disheartening, it's one of those things where there are other ways to get involved that you might not even know of. So I will say my first memory is literally always losing that election. But what I will say is it really did set me up for success later.
And I'm glad you talked about how, before you came to Xavier, pretty much like you were very hardworking, you still are,
Yeah.
but I feel like everybody comes to HBCUs, especially Xavier, and like we all were like that. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
so hard because we're all like attacking the same things, but it's beautiful at the same time, but
Absolutely.
it's just a lot of Black excellence in one place. So,
No, it really is.
and I'm glad you touched on kind of you getting your foot into SGA because you were involved in a lot of organizations across campus.
Yes.
From SGA, you have NAACP, the Peer Dean Association. So, what exactly motivates you to stay so engaged throughout your college experience?
Yeah, I would say so for one, I'm just kind of that busybody type of person. I have so many different passions. I think that's kind of the start of why I was so heavily involved in a bunch of different things is I was very intentional about not limiting myself. And that's something that I always tell people as well is to not limit yourself and don't tell yourself no. If other people tell you no, that's a different story, but don't tell yourself no. So with me, I came into school with a lot of different passions. So I have different sides of me. For one, I have the side that's very community driven, community focused, and that has always just been instilled in me since I was a little kid. I mean, I grew up in St. Louis, so I remember, the unrest that happened when Michael Brown was killed, and I protested as a young kid, and my parents really overly instilled in me the importance of being active in the community. So I've been volunteering since I was a child. I've been in community work since I was a child. I mean, some of my earliest memories was my mom working the Obama campaign and taking me to go work polling location work. I was like 4, but do polling work at such a young age. So it really instilled in me from the beginning the importance of staying involved in your community. So that's why most of the things that I did on campus still tied back into some form of community engagement, mobilization, or justice work. And I think that's part of it, is seeing my bigger goal and really taking in that create a more just and humane society, and really taking that seriously and taking that to heart, that everything that I want to do is for the end goal of creating a better world and encouraging people to do better. So
I'm glad that you talked about all of these things that you were involved in. Like, my next question was literally, how do all of these leadership spaces help shape your voice and your identity? But you already talked about it. So now you are one of 2 Truman Scholars, the first Truman Scholars at Xavier. Tell me more about that experience. What was that like for you?
oh my gosh. So I would say that is one of my most proud moments of actually like my entire life thus far. So I can kind of tell you from start to finish how this happened, because a lot of hard work and dedication from different people really went into us being able to get such a prestigious award. And so for starters, like I said, so I was the director of elections for SGA for 2024 to 2025. And obviously that was a really big election year, very critical time for a lot of us, and first time a lot of us were voting in presidential elections. So I was really boots on the ground, doing a lot of voting work. If you were at Xavier at that time, you probably saw my face on the SGA page trying to get you to vote, trying to get you to go register to vote, like, I don't even know, once every other week. So my advisor for the Exponential Honors Program, Dr. Shan Roberts, she was scrolling on Instagram and she saw me doing that. And she called me into her office and was like, "Hey, I have this thing that I want you to apply for." And it was a Truman Scholarship. And when she was telling me about it, it's this highly prestigious award, the most prestigious award for students going into careers in public service in the entire country. They choose one person per state. And she was telling me about this, and in my mind, I was like, I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, that sounds amazing, but I was like, is that really, for me, right? Like, am I like me get that? That's crazy. But she was like, no, I think you would be absolutely perfect. And I think for starters, Dr. Roberts, her just sheer dedication that she has for her students is really what fuels us getting this success, and me specifically, just the amount of time and effort that she put in it. It was amazing, honestly. So, but at the end of it, I felt so empowered, because no matter what the results were, I knew that I put my best foot forward and I did the best that I absolutely could. And just seeing the result of that, it was it was a feeling that I had never felt before, because you do all these things, and I did everything that I did not to get any sort of recognition for it, not to be quote unquote be a Truman Scholar, not to get an award, not for any of that, just because of how passionate I was. So then for this to be the outcome, that I get such a highly prestigious award for the things that I've done just because I love it, was so amazing. And just the Truman Foundation has been amazing too. Just the people that I've met. I have so many now lifelong friends from being a Truman Scholar. And I'm just so excited to see, because this summer we're also going to be in DC with the Truman Foundation through their summer institute. So that's going to be exciting. But it's one of those things that I go back to, of not telling yourself no, and putting your best foot forward no matter where it is, and not succumbing to imposter syndrome. I think that is one of the reasons I've been so successful too, is that I realized very early on that imposter syndrome is fake. It is all in your head. whenever they say it's, it's a mental game. So if you tell yourself, I don't deserve to be here, I can't be here, how could I get this scholarship? All these people are applying, what makes me so special? Things like that. If you tell that to yourself, it will show in how you perform and it will show in the things that you're able to accomplish. But if you tell yourself that I can do anything, I can accomplish what I want to accomplish, I am just as deserving to be here. If I wasn't deserving to be here, I wouldn't be here. All those things, if you tell yourself these things, then you never know what will happen. So I know that was such a long-winded answer, but truly that experience taught me so much and it prepared me to then become a Marshall Scholar finalist, which is another highly, highly prestigious award. I didn't end up getting that one, but even to be a finalist for something like that was also amazing. So I think it was one of those experiences I'll never forget, and I'm just so blessed to have had that, truly.
I'm glad you walked us through that process and kind of like what receiving that reward was like, because that's not something, like you said, it's given out lightly at all. Like it's
No.
very deserving. And you've done so much at Xavier. You've done a lot beyond Xavier. So I kind of want to shift to after graduation.
Okay.
So you're going to be attending Columbia SPS for your master's degree. Now, what inspired those next steps and why was Columbia the right fit you felt like for you specifically?
Right. So after around, I want to say it was around November-ish. Actually, this was a little later than November, but whenever I found out that I wasn't selected for the Marshall Scholarship, I kind of went into this time of like, okay, I don't know what comes next. And that has always been something that was very weary for me personally because I'd always been that person who knew exactly what my steps were going to look like. As soon as I decided that I wasn't going to go straight into law school, which is my end goal, I plan on going to law school after SPS. But before that, I kind of entered this stage of like, I don't know what's next. And it was terrifying me. It was absolutely terrifying me. Once again, I have such a close relationship with Dr. Roberts, and we had so many chats of, okay, what does this next year look like for Keziah? And she would always be like, Keziah, relax. You're gonna find something to do. You're gonna be fine. But that unknown space was just so uncomfortable for me. So it was over break, and we were kind of in this, okay, what comes next for Keziah? What comes next? I had applied to a scholarship in Northern Ireland, which was fun as well. But she saw the HBCU fellowship, and I knew about it, but I hadn't really thought about it necessarily. I was like, I don't, once again, that kind of like, I don't know if I could get that sort of thing. But she encouraged me to apply, and I put that application together very diligently, but it was very quick turnaround. I think in about like a week or so, I put the application together because I was looking into the program of political analytics, which is what I'm getting my master's in. And I saw that they offer, courses on voting. And that was always been my main drive is I was like, I want to study how different voting processes around the country feed into whether it be high polling turnout and high political activity in that area versus areas that have low political activity, very low voter turnout, and high voter disenfranchisement, and how we kind of get there. I really wanted to study voting behavior as well. And as I did more research on the political analytics program, I was like, this is absolutely perfect. It would be able to mend, that analytical, well, analytics, but that few of the statistics of it all, the math and the actual background data of it with, the reality of what's going on. So that's really what, drove me to Columbia and to SPS as well. And getting the HBCU fellowship, I think, was such a blessing for me because truly, 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 I got and it was really one of those like signs from God for me because whenever I got my acceptance into it, I was in this mode where I was feeling so I was feeling kind of down because I kept seeing, I also say that, comparison is the thief of joy. So I was seeing my classmates do these amazing things, tell me their plans for next year. And I was so proud of them, so, so proud. But it was hitting harder. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, yeah, I applied to Columbia, but I don't know if I'm going to get it. Da, da, da. And then I got my acceptance, and actually the scholar from last year, he actually was the one who called me and told me, and I thought it was funny. But in that moment, I was like, okay, this is great. I know what I'm doing, and I'm so excited to be in this new environment, new challenging environment. Because a little fun fact, I applied to Columbia for undergrad and I got waitlisted. And so now, turning around and being able to go later on was such like a full circle moment for me.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations
Thank you.
again. I'm so glad you put so much thought into these answers because it really helps us understand better, as Xavier writes, like how far you can really go. You're blessed to
Yeah.
not only have an HBCU degree, and now you're going to be able to have an Ivy League degree.
Yes,
Like
that
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 is
HBCU
so,
Ivy pipeline.
yes. So what is something that you say that you learned at your HBCU, Xavier, that you know you can carry with you into these Ivy League spaces and so on and so forth after?
Goodness. There's so much. There's so, 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 so much. Like Xavier has given me everything and more. And I like one thing I would say for sure, like I said before, comparison is the thief of joy. People would look at me and think that like I never compare myself to anybody else. Like I always get yeses, I never get nos, things like that. And it's not true. But I always have to ground myself that your journey does not look the same as anyone else's. You need to be so happy for everyone else's successes, but also be happy in your own, and to not compare yourself to anyone else because it will truly, truly steal your joy every single time. So yeah, so comparison is a thief of joy. Don't do that. I would say don't to not limit myself. I think to not limit and I oh my gosh, to not limit myself, and once again to claim my space, because I think one of the reasons I found so much success at Xavier is if I wanted to do something, I wanted to try something, I let myself try it. I let myself do it. I let myself fail, and I let myself build up from that. And that type of strength and vigor, I think, is really what I'm going to take with me, because along with, doing all the things that Xavier to do, it is difficult. It's hard. It's not easy. I think a lot of people, in the common misconception, um, from people who don't go to HBCUs or just see HBCUs, they think that it's easy, and they think that it's just, you got a degree, but it's not that. It's not that at all. Being an HBCU student is not hard, or it's not easy. Sorry, it is very hard. Especially to be a student at Xavier, because while we strive for excellence in every single sector, it's difficult to achieve both extracurricular excellence while achieving academic excellence. But I think I learned so quickly how to manage both, and feel to manage both and the importance of both, because even with all of the things I've done, I still was able to graduate summa cum laude. And I think that that's kind of the biggest thing that I'm also going to take away, is the importance of balance and the importance of taking care of yourself, and the importance of being limitless and letting your imagination go. So it's going to be a different academic experience for sure, but I'm not nervous about it, just because of how Xavier has prepared me and how the Xavier community has prepared me, that I'm like, okay, like I'll be a student at Columbia, and it'll be hard, but I think that Xavier has truly, truly, truly prepared me for this and whatever is to come.
Now, I know we touched on your time at Xavier. We touched on what you plan to do with it after graduation, but I kind of want to transition and talk about, your legacy, what you plan to leave at Xavier and things of that nature. So now that you've reached alumni status, What does being a Xavierite at this point mean to you in your words?
Oh, that's amazing. I would say to continue to fuel students who are still currently enrolled, who are going to enroll after. I have so many underclassmen, mentees, underclassmen friends who I have been so blessed chose me to be their mentor, chose me to want to look up to, and I found that it's my job now to continue to encourage them and to continue to give them the advice that I was given as well, because as a freshman I had so many great mentors who I still call and text to this day, like, oh my gosh, this has happened. Oh my gosh, this just happened. And they never left me, really. They never left me. I always felt like my mentors were just a call or a text away. Even while they were going through the motions of life, they were still always there for me. And I think that that's what my legacy looks like as well. And also just this also goes back to the whole thing of striving for something bigger than yourself. And I think that that was so important for me as well. All of my extracurriculars, I am just so excited to see the up and coming leaders who are going to take over the initiatives, take over the organizations, and kind of helping them wherever they need to. Every single thing that I was a part of at Xavier, I told them before I left, hey, you have my number, you have my email. If you need help, if you need guidance, if you need advice, if you need to just talk, I'm still here. I don't care how busy I am, just text me and call me. Even if it takes me a second to respond, I will respond to you and I will still be here. And I think that that's really the biggest way right now that I plan to continue to stay active in the Xavier community is just being there and still being a person that people can talk to and people can come to, because your mentors are everything. They are everything. So I still want to continue to do that because everyone was like, no, you're leaving. Da, da, da. I was like, no, I'm not. I left, but I'm still here if you need anything. So I really still plan to be there actively for students who might need that support or who still, need a shoulder to lean on or cry on or whatever it may be. Because trust, I've had plenty of times where I have bawled my eyes out to my mentors or anything like that. And that's really where I found that the Xavier community is so amazing, is our alumni do so much, so much. Well, now me, the alumni community is so much for us. I mean, this past semester, I didn't mention this, but I externed at um, Judge LaBelle's chambers. That's a federal judge, and I got to extern with him because, of that Xavier connection. And I just want to continue to be that forever because the Xavier community is forever.
Yay! I'm so glad you talked. You literally touched on everything we need to talk about. I don't even gotta ask too much. Perfect. So now that you're officially in your alumna status, what is one final message that you will want to leave to current Xavier students and future graduates listening to this episode?
To anybody who's listening to this, just know that you have so much potential, so much untapped potential, and it takes you. You have to be the one to tap into your potential. Don't limit yourself. Whatever you want to do, go for it. If somebody tells you no, you can pivot, but don't tell yourself no before anybody else has the chance to. And also, just this time at Xavier is more than just your degree. You're not just getting a piece of paper. That paper is a symbol of everything that you've learned, all the times you've grown, all the times you've struggled, all the times you've achieved. So really take it at that and, take Xavier for everything that it has to offer you. Xavier has so much to offer you. Xavier has so much that it can give to you, but you have to be willing to take it. You have to be willing to go out of your comfort zone, and you have to be willing to work hard and strive for those extra goals. And I promise if you do that, you will succeed. You will do so well. And I'm just excited to see this new up and coming class of Xavier leaders, because the underclassmen right now are no joke. They are amazing. I've seen them work. I've seen all of y'all do such amazing things. I'm so excited to see where you all go next. And just to continue being what Xavierites are. We're amazing. We're brilliant. We're, we're leaders. We are so passionate, and just continue making us Xavier alumni proud.
Keziah, thank you so much. I hope you know that we're excited for your journey and to see what you do as
Thank
well.
you guys.
You shared so much valuable information with us. Like, I really am walking away from this conversation feeling motivated, feeling rejuvenated.
Yes.
So
I'm glad.
yes, thank you for sharing your experiences and your journey with us today.
And to our listeners, this is what Xavier Gold Live is all about, celebrating excellence, our new alumni, leadership, and the impact that Xavier students continue to make beyond the yard.
So stay connected, stay inspired, and as always, keep that Xavier spirit alive.
XU, you know what to do.
Subscribe and rate the show today, and join us, the Xavier Gold Live podcast, on the first Tuesday of every month to stay up to date with all things alumni.
Follow at XULA Alumni on Instagram and subscribe to our monthly alumni newsletter.
Until next time, Xavierites.